ninja finally emerge from the shadows and have an epic confrontation with Team Guy in this week's surprisingly awesome episode of Naruto Shippuden. Tenten fans, prepare to get excited, because this is a very Tenten-centric episode. And frankly, I'm okay with that, because she's one of the most least developed characters of the entire series, and this was a great showcase for her character. We get to learn how she learned some of her big signature techniques, we get some flashback sequences where she's training with Guy, which are surprisingly awesome, especially that nunchuck sequence and the one where they were climbing up the mountain. I really like that mountain scene, mostly for Kakashi just showing up out of nowhere. That was really funny when he just popped up right next to him. And he's all like, "Oh, hey guys, I didn't know you trained here." And he had his arm tied behind his back trying to act like a badass right in front of Guy, which just instigates a big competition between the two. And this leads to a really important scene where we get to see that Tenten does not want to be a convenience for the team anymore. She wants to be the star. She wants to get right into the battle right up front. She simply doesn't want to be the backup for the team, where Neji and Rock Lee are constantly fighting and getting all the glory, and she's just sort of hanging in the back throwing shuriken and summoning everything in sight. She doesn't want to be a convenience anymore. She doesn't want to be the Mary Poppins of the group. A spoonful of sugar makes the shuriken go in the face. And that brings us to Ajisai, who eventually becomes one of the bodies of pain. She's a really interesting character because just like Tenten, she also happens to specialize in summoning things, whether it be actual monsters or freaking weapons, or even big water gates which can protect them. She has a lot of really interesting abilities and seems to be like the de facto leader of that team. And she's been told by Konan of the Akatsuki to get some intel on the other ninja and on the Jinchuriki, not necessarily to capture them, but to get any info they can. I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with Ajisai in this arc, though. I don't know if they're actually going to outright kill her off in this arc, or if they're actually just showing us that she was alive during this period. I really can't wait to see where that's going, and how that's actually going to tie into Fu, who is the Jinchuriki of the Seven Tails. But at the end of this week's episode, Team Guy and Ajisai's team end up having this really big battle in these ancient ruins in the Valley of the Wind, and honestly, it's pretty cool. Nothing groundbreaking, but still pretty decent. We had some pretty good artwork and some animation. The one thing that I didn't really care for in this week's episode, and it's more of a nitpick than anything, and it's just because I can already predict where the story is going, is at the very end of this big battle, they cause this big attack to create this like big hole that opens up in the ruins, and both Ajisai and Tenten end up falling in and getting trapped underneath all this rubble, which leads to their teammates having to stop fighting and have to go and find them. Obviously, the teammates are going to start working together, but both Ajisai and Tenten are clearly going to have to work together, and they're going to have to learn some techniques from each other. And this makes sense because they both happen to specialize in summoning techniques. And I imagine that Tenten's going to teach Ajisai things, and Ajisai is going to teach Tenten things. They try to make it seem like Ajisai is going to try and attack Tenten and try to kill her at the end of this week's episode, but if you watch the preview, you pretty much know that they are going to be forced to work together, because who knows what type of creepy crawlies are hanging out in those ruins, and is it just me, or did I see like a big panda attacking them? I know I'm not the only one who didn't just see that panda who just happens to be hanging out in the middle of the desert attacking some ninja. That was really fun to say. So what's the rundown? On this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, Tenten is the star this week, and I think that she's a really good character. What's also really great about her is she's one of the most grounded characters of the series. She's not too powerful, but what I still love about her is her usefulness. As much as she doesn't want to admit it, her abilities are convenient. They do help out in a number of situations. They have in this arc. Remember when they were stuck in the middle of that freaking giant, like, sand freaking waterfall? She had the big freaking ladder. She was able to get them out of there. They're hungry in the middle of the night. She pulls out some freaking okonomiyaki. Have you ever had okonomiyaki? It's pretty freaking good. It's like a Japanese vegetable pancake covered in all these crazy sauces. I recommend it. I've had it once before, and it's pretty freaking delicious. This is the part of the episode, though, when she gets all pissed off because she just doesn't want to be seen as convenient, because that's the way Rock Lee sort of brought it up, because, you know, Rock Lee just doesn't think when he talks. He just does his thing. Some other things that I really liked about this episode was just the mixture of different types of humor and action and animation. I liked how they actually did a pretty good job of just animating everything overall. I love the atmosphere atmosphere, the music that they used, but I also love the scene during the training sequence where it actually went back to the SD Naruto series with Guy and Tenten when she was imagining summoning an ocean and getting them all swept away. I thought that was pretty funny, and it's one of the few times when I think it really works when they use those SD characters, because Rock Lee and his team were basically the main characters of that spin-off. Otherwise, this was a pretty good episode. If I only had one thing I would change, it's that I would switch out Team Guy's team for Choji, Ino, and Sakura, but only because they haven't really been showcased at all in this arc. But I am really surprised that they focused on Tenten. I thought this was going to be another excuse to give us something again with Rock Lee or Neji, especially Neji because of what happened in the war. But no, we're getting Tenten, and frankly, I think that's really awesome. This is a great opportunity to showcase this character, and hopefully they'll do something cool with it next week, although I'm not going to hold my breath because the animation doesn't really look all that amazing. In fact, I think it looked better in this one. So, I'm just going to have to hold my reservations until I see next week's episode. What I will say is this one was pretty decent. If you're a fan of Team Guy and Tenten in particular, check out this episode. It's pretty cool and it's got some really nice moments for it. It's nothing groundbreaking at all. It's just a really good average episode of Naruto Shippuden, which is focusing on Tenten. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 3 out of 5. Check it out, Naruto fans. Whether you've been reading the manga version or following the anime, you'll definitely get something out of this week's episode. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and hit the like button. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden. Are you a fan of Tenten? What do you think is going to happen in the next episode with Ajisai? Do you think Ajisai is actually going to die in this arc? Is this all going to have to do with the Seven Tails Jinchuriki? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, and check out our brand new video podcast. It's in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching, and stay dandy, baby.